All right, let's get into it. If you've been thinking about switching your bank account, you've probably heard about Nationwide making a pretty big splash with a new cash bonus. So today, we're going to break down exactly what's on the table. So let's start with the headline number, the one that's grabbing all the attention, £275. But in a market that's absolutely flooded with switching offers, you gotta ask, is this deal really as good as it sounds? Okay, so how do you actually get your hands on this cash? And maybe more importantly, what's the catch? Are there any hidden hoops to jump through? Let's dive in and find out.
Right, first things first, and this is absolutely crucial. That 275 quid, it's not one big lump sum, nope. It's actually two totally separate payments, and you really need to get your head around the difference between them.
Okay, so here's how it breaks down. You've got £175 that's pretty much guaranteed. That's the upfront cash, the bait on the hook to get you to switch. But that other 100 quid, that's a whole different ballgame. It's what they call a fair share payment, and it's a potential reward you might get for being a member, but only if Nationwide has a good year financially. So let's be super clear. It is not guaranteed. At all. All right, so let's focus on the part you can actually control, that guaranteed £175. To get that money in your pocket, you've got to follow a pretty specific checklist. No winging it on this one. Okay, listen up, because the details here are super important. You have to use the official current account switch service. You've got to move over a minimum of 2 active direct debits. And I'm stressing the word active. They can't just be old dormant ones. You also need to pop at least £1,000 into the account, though the good news is you can do that in a few goes if you need to. Then make at least one little purchase with your debit card, and, this is the kicker, get the whole switch completed within 28 days. Okay, so that's the £175 sorted, but what about that other £100? This is where it gets interesting. It's all tied to this thing Nationwide calls its fairest share, so what on earth does that actually mean? Well, here's the key difference between Nationwide and most of the big high street banks. Your typical bank has shareholders, right? And when the bank makes a profit, it goes to them. But Nationwide, they don't have shareholders. So when they have a really good year, they have this system to share a slice of that profit directly with their members, which is you, the customer. And this whole structure has a name. It's called a mutual society. And really, in the simplest terms, it just means the customers are the owners. Think about that. So instead of profits getting paid out to external investors, they're either reinvested back into Nationwide or, like we just said, shared with the members, you. So you can start to see the strategy playing out here, right? That initial 175 quid is the welcome mat, designed to get you in the door. But that potential £100 fair share payment, that's their way of trying to convince you to stick around for the long haul. It's a really interesting move in the banking game. It's a shift away from just buying new customers towards actually trying to build some real loyalty. Okay, so how does this whole package stack up against what the competition is offering? Because let's be honest, the banking world is a battlefield when it comes to these switching incentives. Look, if all you care about is the biggest possible chunk of cash right here, right now, then yeah, rivals like Lloyds and TSB actually have Nationwide beaten. But just looking at it that way kind of misses the bigger picture of this offer. Nationwide is basically making a bet that you'll value the potential of getting more rewards down the line over a slightly bigger bonus today. All right, let's pull all of this together into a simple, clear action plan. If you've decided this is for you, here are the 5 exact steps you need to take to lock in that initial £175 bonus. So it really just boils down to this. 1, open the right account. 2, use the official service to switch at least 2 direct debits. 3, get £1,000 in there. 4, make 1 card payment. And 5, the most important part, get it all done within that 28-day window. That's the key to qualifying. And here's the best part. You won't be waiting around for ages to see the cash. Once you've jumped through all those hoops and ticked every box, Nationwide says they'll pay that £175 right into your account within just 10 days. Pretty quick. So all of this leaves us with a really big question, doesn't it? When you're picking a bank, what's more important to you? Is it grabbing the absolute biggest pile of cash you can get right now? Or is it a slightly smaller bonus today, but with the potential for more long-term rewards that come from being a part of something like a member owner? It really makes you think about what you actually want from the place that looks after your money. So, if you've been on the lookout for a pretty straightforward way to get some extra cash in your pocket, well, Nationwide might just have an answer. Today, we're going to break down their latest bank switching offer step by step, so you know exactly how it works and what's in it for you. Let's be real, who isn't feeling the pinch from the rising cost of living? It's been a major theme since 2022. So many of us are looking for simple ways to make our money go just a little bit further, and that's exactly where an offer like this can really make a difference. So yeah, when a big bank comes out with a potential £275 boost, it's pretty hard not to pay attention. This is the big, flashy number that Nationwide is using to get your attention. But of course, with any of these bank offers, the headline number is only part of the story. The real question is always, what's the catch? So let's get into the specifics, because the details are what really matter here.
Okay, the very first thing you need to know is how that £275 is actually put together. It's not one single lump sum. It's actually a combination of two very different parts. One part is guaranteed cash, and the other is, well, it's more of a maybe.
Right, here's the key takeaway. You get a guaranteed £175 in cash just for switching. That extra £100, that's a possible bonus that's tied to the bank's profits down the line. It's nice if it happens for sure, but for now, let's focus on the $175 you can definitely get.
And now for the main event, the playbook. Let's walk through the simple 3-step process you need to follow to unlock that £175 bonus.
And here they are. It really is as simple as 1, 2, 3. First, you'll do a full switch from your old bank. Second, you need to fund the new account with at least £1,000. And finally, you just have to make one single payment with your new card. That's it. You know, what's great here is the flexibility. That £1,000 deposit doesn't have to be a single lump sum. You can add it in smaller amounts. And that one payment, it could be your existing Netflix subscription or even just tapping your phone with Apple or Google Pay. They've made it incredibly easy to qualify. Okay, here's an important heads up for anyone switching with a partner. If you open a joint account, the offer is £175 bonus per account, not per person. Just something to keep in mind. All right, so you've done the steps. How do you know the money has actually arrived? Well, this part is surprisingly simple. The good news is you won't have to guess or chase them for it. Nationwide has a very clear signal they use to tell you that the bonus has been paid. And there it is, just 2 words to look for on your bank statement. Switching offer. When you see that transaction, you know the £175 has officially landed in your account. And you won't be waiting long either. The bank commits to making that payment within 10 days of you completing the requirements. So once you've made that deposit and that card payment, you can start checking your statement. Finally, let's pull all of this together into a clear timeline. Because with any offer like this, timing is absolutely everything. So here's the timeline you need to remember. The moment your new account is open, a 31-day countdown begins. Within that window, you've got to get that £1,000 deposited and make one card payment. As soon as you've checked those 2 boxes, their 10-day payout window kicks in. So that's the whole breakdown, a straightforward process with flexible rules and a really clear confirmation. For just a small amount of admin, a £175 bonus is right there on the table. The only question left is, could this simple bank switch be your next smart money move? Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're talking about something pretty great. Getting paid hundreds of pounds in free cash just by changing where you do your banking. I'll ask you a question, a really simple one. When's the last time your bank actually paid you a cash bonus just for being their customer? If you're thinking, never, then you're going to want to stick around. You might be leaving free money on the table. In this explainer, we'll show you exactly how to claim it, using the latest info on what the UK's biggest banks are offering right now. All right, so let's dig in. This is a huge opportunity in personal finance that a lot of people just don't know about. So what are we actually talking about here? It's actually pretty simple. You see, the banking market is super competitive, so major UK banks are literally willing to pay you cold, hard cash to switch your current account over to them. Think of it as a direct bid for your business. So leading the charge at the moment is Nationwide Building Society. They're making a lot of noise with an offer that's, well, it's pretty compelling. Let's start with the big number, the headline here. We're talking £175. That's the cash bonus Nationwide is offering, just for moving your current account over. And this isn't for some obscure account either. The offer applies to their most popular ones, and some of them, like the Flex Direct account, even come with these great ongoing perks like cashback and a really competitive interest rate. Okay, But here's where it gets really interesting. That number, it could get even bigger. See, Nationwide has a history of making these extra £100 fairer share payments to its members. So if that happens again, your total bonus could jump up to a potential £275. And this quote from one of their directors really says it all, doesn't it? It gets right to the heart of their strategy. They're not just throwing cash around, they're actively trying to build up their membership by making it rewarding right from day one. But look, Nationwide isn't the only bank with a generous offer on the table, not by a long shot. Let's see how the other major players stack up, because some are actually offering even more cash up front. And yeah, the competition is fierce. I mean, look at this. Both Lloyds and Barclays are coming in hot with a £200 bonus. And you've still got TSB and NatWest right there in the game with some pretty significant cash incentives of their own. Now, while that big headline number is obviously important, the real key is in the conditions. That's what you've got to pay attention to. Lloyds wants you to move over your direct debits, while Barclays, on the other hand, says you have to use their app and meet a specific deadline. So choosing the right one really just depends on your own personal banking habits. Okay, so you've seen the offers, you've seen the numbers, and you might be thinking, this sounds like a huge hassle. But what does the process actually involve? Is it complicated? Honestly, it's a surprisingly simple 4-step process. It's all done through the official current account switching service, which is designed to be totally hassle-free. Seriously, it's backed by guarantee, and it automatically moves all your payments and closes your old account for you. It does all the heavy lifting. But just remember, the absolute key is to pay close attention to the specific requirements for each offer. Some are pretty low effort, like just using an app. Others, like moving your direct debits for Lloyds or making sure you have a minimum monthly deposit for NatWest, just require a little bit of organization. But meeting those conditions is what unlocks that cash bonus. So we've covered the what, the who, and the how, and all of that brings us to the final and probably the most important question of all. With all this information laid out and several banks offering up to £200 just to win your business, well, it's worth asking yourself which offer is the right fit for you. The only thing left to decide is whether it's finally time to make a move.